Trustee Ahrens? Absent. Kammerer?
Here.
Carbonaro?
Here.
Daney?
Yes. Here.
Hopkins?
Here.
Ranky?
Here.
President Wallace?
Here. What item we have on our standing committee, or our committee of the whole meeting this evening is under Planning and Zoning. Chairman Ranky.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have two items. First item is 908 Shorewood Drive fence variation. Jim, can you fill us in on that?
Thank you, Trustee Ranky. This petition before you is from the Considines. They are asking for a fence in their corner side yard at their property at 908 Shorewood. The corner side yard allows a 3-foot high fence. They are asking for a 5-foot high fence in that location, and you can see it in the red outlined area. The fence basically is what I would call a picket style fence with the gap in the picket with a dog ear top. This went to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board of Appeals voted to recommend approval of the fence at this location. It is located 10 feet off the property line, as you can see in this exhibit. That is due because there is some infrastructure in the 10-foot easement on the property line, or in that 10-foot area. They've agreed to move the fence back off of that, and it is before you prior to going on to the village board for a final vote. And I believe the Considines are here. Oh, there they are. Sorry, I knew I saw them somewhere. And if they have any questions, they can answer. I will try to answer those, or you can ask them directly.
Any questions?
I have a question. Being that it's a corner lot, and I see a lot of conversation in the meeting here in regards to why exactly do you need a 5-foot fence? Because you're on a corner.
Good evening, and thank you for taking this time to hear this. My name is Sean Considine. We're proposing a 5-foot fence on this for the safety of our family. We live 350 feet from the pond that is at the corner or at the end of the cul-de-sac here. It has a 3-foot retaining wall. It's an 8-foot deep pond. If any family members, children specifically, or pets fall into this pond, it is very difficult to get out of it. We feel the 3-foot high fence presents opportunities for any children or pets to get out very easily, along with the pond that we have 350 feet. We live in a right on the corner of a very busy intersection of Newport and Shorewood. We did some studies on the traffic there. There is there's a townhome community that's built inside of this neighborhood here. The traffic along Shorewood is very busy, along with Newport, just supporting our reason why we feel a 5-foot fence would be safer for our family and our home.
Thank you. And I'm assuming since there is recommended approval, there's no problem with being able to see around the corner.
The vision clearance is not a problem. This slide probably shows the best example of that. Here is the intersection, as Mr. Considine stated, and the fence has to be set back 10 feet. The vision clearance triangle is roughly right in this area, so there's plenty of open area to see around the corner.
Thank you.
All right, if there aren't any other questions, then is it our consensus that we move this matter on to the village board so we can approve it?
Yep. That would be a good idea.
Splendid.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, the second item is Bartlett Ridge Preliminary Subdivision and PUD Rezoning Special Use and Comprehensive Plan Amendment.
Thank you, Trustee Ranky. This is a project that when you last saw it, it was a concept plan, if you remember. It's on the east side of Naperville Road, just south of Phillip Drive, south of the World Overcomers Church, which is right here. The Timberline subdivision is directly to its south. The petitioner, as you gave them a fairly good feeling for the development of this instead of the townhome development, which it was originally approved for and did not get built by two different builders. You gave them an opportunity to submit a single-family development. One of the big issues prior to this was the setbacks, and I'll get to that in a minute. But basically, the petitioner is asking for a number of items: preliminary subdivision, preliminary PUD plan on the layout of the subdivision, a rezoning from the SR5 PUD to the suburban residence single-family 4 district, which is basically the 6,000 square foot minimum lot size. An amendment to the comprehensive plan, which was not done prior to this, and then because this area still shows some of this property to be in commercial. Back a number of years ago in 2006, this property was zoned SR5 for the Bravo Sound subdivision. It was an 87-unit townhome. Subsequent to that, in 2007, this 87-unit townhome was amended for the Bartlett Ridge subdivision, which was also never built. The concept plan was reviewed last July. Timberline subdivision directly to the south had some concerns with some of the setbacks and the proximity of the layout of the homes to their rear yard setbacks. The petitioner came back in and increased those rear yard setbacks where they are adjacent primarily to the townhomes in the south portion of the development. This is proposed as a 43 single-family lot subdivision, 48 total lots when you count the common area. It's 13.5 acres. The rezoning and the layout of it look like this. The rezoning would take this back into the SR4 district. Again, just pointing out, these are the homes that they adjusted the setbacks, the proposed layout right in this south side area. The petitioner is asking for some relief through the PUD requirements with the SR4 district. They are asking for a front yard of 20 or 25 feet instead of the standard 25 feet in the SR4. 7-foot side yard, the SR4 is 5 feet. A rear yard of 25 or 35 feet instead of the standard 45-foot rear yard in the SR4. And a minimum lot width of 65 feet, 60 feet on the cul-de-sac, and the SR4 is 60 feet. So those are some of the things they're asking for in the PUD. The subdivision identifies a 17-foot wide dedication along Naperville Road. They will continue to do that, and there will be a connection with the bike path that exists out there with Timberline. They're asking for 2 modifications from the subdivision ordinance. One is to reduce the right-of-way width from the standard 66 feet to 60 feet to accommodate some of the reduced setbacks. The 60-foot width in a subdivision for a right-of-way has been used in other developments. They are also asking for a 600-foot cul-de-sac length to exceed the subdivision requirement of 600 feet. Originally, there was a dedication of a road connection in Timberline, and I'll get to that in a minute, but that is not going to happen if it's approved. There's a 0.5 acre park site, which again is to add on to an existing park that the Park District has at the far east, Peregrine Park, if you know that one. Or stormwater is on lot 46. Landscaping, subdivision, and signage are on some of the other common areas. There would be a 8-foot high solid cedar fence at the rear property line between 12 and 15 and 18 and 24, generally to buffer some of the commercial, which is north, which is the Cadillac Ranch is up there, Moretti's, and the RV dealers out in that area. The original development of this subdivision was a townhome development, had a connection from Telluride Court north into the subdivision here. The Telluride Court residents don't want to make that connection. Our ordinance at that time said that that connection should be made within 2 years. The previous development was never built. that expired on the previous ordinance, and the connection wasn't made, so that has expired. What the petitioner has done is he's gotten a emergency exit that he's been in discussions with the Cadillac Ranch owners, and the emergency exit will come off the end of the cul-de-sac and run up through the Moretti's Cadillac Ranch parking lot up to Lake Street. Timberline has a similar emergency exit back out east to Naperville Road, so it's something that's been used before, but essentially this is their secondary access, which the fire department would have to review. I can go through some of the models. If you recall, you probably don't remember, but they had a number of models. These are some of the designs. They are essentially a nice low-level or 1 or 2 story single-family, semi-custom built home. And the petitioner's here. He can go through his models, but these are some of the items that they presented. And again, the restrictions on some of those lots with the bigger setbacks, some of these models won't be available on there. And we have the petitioner here who is willing, anxious, and able to move forward, because this is the first subdivision we've had in a long time. And Nate is representing William Ryan Homes, and I think he's got all his engineers and everybody else here, if you have any questions of them.
Thank you. Well, one of the things I'd like to clarify is something that we clarified when we looked at the concept plan with regards to the width of the right-of-way. So
Right.
Just because we're talking about a right-of-way that's 6 feet narrower, the actual width of the street will be the same.
Yes,
Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay. So then we're not going to have any problems with fire trucks or ambulances.
Right. It'll still be the same width. I should have spoke that. It's just the right-of-way width is going to be a little narrower.
Okay, thank you.
If I recall, last time on the concept, we did?
Sure.
Okay, sorry. Wasn't it like 35 feet in the back or some number that nobody was really comfortable with?
25.
25, yeah.
And,
Okay.
and it's primarily along these lots which back up to Timberline, and Nate can address it as well as his engineer. They increased these to 35 feet primarily, and that was correct.
What's the price range?
Nate Weinsmo with William Ryan Homes. Sorry, a little loud. The price range, we've got 3 ranch models that we'll be offering that are about 1,800 to 2,400 square feet. I would expect those to be in starting base prices in the high 200s to low 300s. Sale prices, typically what we target is a first or second time move-up buyer. Not necessarily move up, but at least their second or third home purchase. We typically see anywhere from 10 to 20, 25% in upgrades. So from a base of 200s, low 300s, we would expect up to mid 300s to into the $400,000 range on pricing. The 2-story homes range from about 2,200 feet to plans that our base size is upwards of 3,600 feet. And we have options of morning room additions, second floor living space, additional master suites. A couple of the plans have first floor master. Everything you see in elevation in your packages shows a 2-car garage elevation to the home. Several of those plans all have as standard a 3rd stall tandem. So it's a double deep space on the outside parking space. So even in some of these confined lots, because the site is very linear, even in some of those cases, you'll be able to get a 3-car standard garage.
Fantastic. Good.
I wanted to commend you on making the effort to change from the 25 to the 35 setback, I guess, if that's what we call it.
Yeah.
That was a very commendable thing to do. I'm a little disappointed in your adjoining neighborhood that they didn't make an effort to let you connect in after making that effort. It's disappointing that you guys went the extra mile and then not letting you get through. It seems
Yeah.
unfortunate. Let's just put it that way. It's just too bad. I won't get into particulars, but I think it's just unfortunate this other community doesn't let you connect in. What still concerns me, and what I brought up when we last discussed this, and with Jim as well, is I walked this area when you first came in and had a look in your stormwater detention area, and these are considerable tree area, full-size trees, and it seems to me there should be something we should be able to do to help save that, keep that green, to do something with that property other than just going in and clean cutting it all and making a big pond, because it just doesn't seem right. There a significant amount of green area, and I think we should be able to do something to accommodate that in some way.
In the areas, if you see on the plan there to the north of the pond, we're talking about the far right side of the plan there.
Right, the aerial photo map that we have in our, Jim has it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So part of that park area, so the dark green is off-site, that's Peregrine Park. Part of that park dedication where we're dedicating additional park is wooded, and I'd have to look at our tree survey to see which are the significant trees, size and species and quality. But I think if there's anywhere that can be accommodated, that park dedication or the area north of the detention area. The detention, the site, one of the challenges on the site is there's a lot of topography. And a lot of that topography runs from north to south across the narrow portion of the property. With our steps in our lots, the right-of-way itself, there's going to be a lot of grading on the residential portion. But as it drops off in that southeast corner is where the detention really has to go physically. I think those are the areas where we can look at trying to accommodate some tree preservation, and also just along the perimeter of that property line. Certainly between Moretti's, between Barrington RV, I think there's some opportunities there too. And our conversations with the church have gone very well. They're willing to work with us. I think the church has changed hands. Prior to our involvement, there had been a grading easement agreement with them. We've met with Barrington Motors, again, very amenable to working with us. We're going to provide them sewer water stubs to their property so they can eventually go on to utilities, and again, work with them along our property, our adjoining property lines, so that we're not creating some severe grade differentials. So we'll try to work through that as best we can. We have approached and talked with Moretti's about providing access to what is essentially already the south end of their parking lot as an emergency access. Obviously, if there were an emergency situation, the village has the ability to come into Moretti's parking lot with fire and police. We've talked to them about that southwest corner of their property getting some kind of connection to what is their existing parking lot. Initial meetings, conversations were very positive. Since then, a little hesitancy. We've offered some financial compensation to them to allow us to come and do the work necessary for that connection. I think the way it was put to me was come back and give us your best shot. So we will do that, and we've got some ideas on ways I think that we can benefit them. I think I surmise from the conversation that they see that as just kind of a one-way street. It benefits us, but trying to explain to them that really it benefits the whole community, that it's not just our development or your property, it's the potential emergency circulation for everybody's benefit. So we're going to offer to do some additional work for them and add some further financial
Yeah.
compensation to try to make that happen.
Well, plus you're providing another 43 homeowners that can walk to their bar.
That's what we said.
Evidently, what else do they want? What's wrong with Hoffman, anyway? Come on.
I would think that you would put some screening in between lot 24 and the parking lot, because I just can see residents in 5 to 10 years from now, residents of lot 24 coming in and saying, boy, Cadillac Ranch is too loud at night, and I live right next door to a parking lot. So what kind of screening do you have?
Yeah, I think from all the way from the cul-de-sac to the north, and I'm not sure which lot that is, but all the way from that northwest corner up against where you kind of see the church's detention area, from that point east along that property that there's a single-family home there that fronts Route 20. From that point all the way east to Barrington Motors, south along Barrington Motors, east along the south side of Barrington Motors, and then south again along Moretti's is planned to be an 8-foot fence. And because we've got drainage and utility easements for the benefit of the village and the rear yards, that's why we're talking with Barrington Motors is amenable to us coming onto their property to create a landscape buffer. So, and I think that's part of the further conversations we have to have with Moretti's is so they understand the purpose of what we're talking about here is an emergency access, what the construction and makeup of that really will look like. People won't just be able to drive off the end of the cul-de-sac and into their parking lot. I'm sure we'd have drop-down bollards and some obstruction there that only emergency would have keys for. And so I think they need to further understand what that really looks like, and hopefully that's enough for them to see that there's some benefit there. But 8-foot fence, so that's, you talk about a 5-foot fence, adding 3 feet, that's a pretty significant buffer. We will take extra effort as well in our sales office and any materials we provide to home buyers here that they'll be well aware of what it is they're buying property up against. Barrington Motors has an outdoor speaker system for their sales staff, and that's, there's really no way to buffer that. So there, you're moving into an existing neighborhood. You got multifamily to the south. You got some commercial uses to the north. We just need to make sure people fully understand what it is they're buying and who their neighbors are.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
And I'd also echo Trustee Kammerer's comment about the trees. I don't know if you're aware, but we got hit pretty hard by the EAB. So we're pretty sensitive when it comes to trees. So anything you can do to preserve as many trees as possible, I think we'd appreciate that. We lost so many trees.
Okay. Yeah.
I need to ask you, has anybody from the Fire Protection District looked at what is the length of the cul-de-sac? I know you're going to hear this when you go before the Plan Commission, so I'm preparing you now.
Yeah.
Fire has looked at it.
What's the length of the...
It's over 600 feet. I don't know the exact length. But Fire has reviewed this.
I'm sorry?
Fire Department has reviewed this, and they'll sign off on the emergency access.
That's an integral part, is getting that emergency exit for that, because I know these are the questions that you'll be confronted with.
Sure.
Where you were going to have your road hookup, you wouldn't want to put a detention area right there, would you?
I don't think it will physically work for stormwater detention there, but that's the only real difference here was that we were planning to make a connection to Telluride. Previous plans we had showed a road there, so with the elimination of that road, it gave us a little more breathing room to make those lots larger to accommodate some bigger homes. But we would welcome. We even had an alternative where instead of a road connection, the emergency access would go to the south to Telluride, and that was kind of a non-starter with the neighbors as well. So we're willing to make every effort to try to improve our neighbor's property. I think the portion of the parking lot that we're connecting to, that we would be connecting to, is a gravel section, when you get to the back of Cadillac Ranch, the pavement stops at some point. So that's just something we discussed today, was going back to them and saying, let us pave a portion of that area. It's a benefit to you to have that paved versus gravel, and try to do everything we can to make it happen.
You may avoid arguments or complaints, and we may get less complaints if you tend to market to country and western people like down at that end of the deal. Yeah.
If you're a big fan of
Cowboy
RVs,
boots, I got the house for you.
right? RVs and country music.
Yeah.
How can you go wrong? You might want a gate at the backyard just to get to your RV if that's where you store it.
Wow.
Ouch.
Any other questions or comments?
Serious ones, you mean?
Any other serious questions or comments? Okay, so then the consensus is to move this matter along.
Quickly, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank
Great.
you very much.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. President, we have nothing more for planning and zoning this evening.
That concludes our Committee of the Whole meeting. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's moved by Trustee Gainey, seconded by Trustee Ranke. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron? Still missing. Kammerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
We are adjourned. Go Black.